Alright, so Nova also got a rework along with Caliban. I'd argue that hers was maybe a little more impactful than his was overall. So we're going to have a look at that. And very quickly here, we will see you over in the simulacrum. Alright, here we are in the simulacrum. Thanks, Enu. So yeah, Nova reworked. I guess we'll start off with the simple stuff. Passive. I don't remember actually what this even completely was. I think. Didn't she like knock people over for. No, that's Revenant. Her and Revenant were very similar. It was like knocking people over when something happened or she got knocked over. I forget which. Uh, Something you don't want to usually happen to you, and the the resulting effect was almost kind of useless. So yeah, now we have enemies killed will slow down, drop health orbs, enemies killed will sped up, drop energy orbs sometimes. This kind of interestingly does give you a reason to have the speed up mode on in stuff like exterminate and survival, which I might have been able to make more use of when I did the steel path test that you'll see at the end here. Now that I'm looking at it, I actually forgot about that effect. But yeah, generally, it's a passive. It does good things. Uh, Probably the only weird thing is it's not really a passive because you have to be using your 4, but if you're not using your 4, you're kind of strange Nova player at best. Nullstar. The big update to Nullstar was essentially that it can be recast now. So no longer will you just lose your stars and not be able to replenish them until they're all gone, which also includes you losing your damage resistance. That has a few effects. Such as it makes this a lot more point to the point now. You can do that without completely screwing up your survivability. So that's nice. On this build, you only need about 10 of your stars to cap out the vulnerability, so. Novas 2. That's going to require a bit of maintenance here. So Novas 2, you summon this little ball, you shoot this little ball. You hold it down to shoot the little ball once it's charged. It works. I'd say it's generally kind of heavy on the setup. Also, it's a little weird to aim. If you hold it, it just launches it immediately. It's fine. The problem with that is you'll see right here. I mean, if we're gonna shoot, I might as well just shoot, and if I have my 4 going, that's a lot more effective. You might like it. I find it kind of gay. It's one of those things like using Mace as one where you can do stuff with it, but it's gimmicky and has a weird setup time. There's probably, I feel like you could almost helmet thermals under Dante's abilities on there and get a lot more use out of it. Let's move back to where we are. That was 3. It's probably self-explanatory. It's a portal. You go into the portal, you come out the other side. Unknown, little known uses. Oop, I put it too far away, didn't I? You can use it to do things like extend the effective range of a shotgun until the enemy moves anyways. If you particularly do something weird like, we'll say, this. It's very complicated to set up, but this is also something that works better with Rework. Oops. Because, yeah, you have to get the endpoints basically exactly right or this won't work. I think this won't work. There's a way you can set up an infinite, as long as your projectile is infinite body puncher. Basically a laser tripwire. If as you might guess from my comments on the 2, that's even more ridiculous setup. 4 is basically Nova's bread and butter. You tap and they will go slow and take double damage. If you hold, they'll go faster and take double damage. And that bounces off the passive as well, of course. Now you may be wondering, I switched the 2 with something, of course. That'll make more sense once we get into it, but yeah, I switched the 2 with Firewalker. We'll cover that in a second. Just get rid of those guys on the background for now. On to the build. Alright, so we got a few choices that we can make here. I have made some, you may make different ones. Sprint boost, this goes with my escape velocity, which is to help you go super fast after you jump through a portal. Basically, because the portals are good for crossing lawn open areas, but I like to have a little bit of speed going around tight little corners and tunnels and stuff. Well, you can just do this for an immediate speed boost. Sometimes that will throw you through the floor, so you don't want to totally rely onto it. That's just a quick example of that. Also, important note, the speed from this does not scale with mods, the duration does. As you can tell, we got a lot of power in here. That's because we do have some options with Neutron Star, and also this goes better with strength in both cases now. Our helmet Firewalker also does burn people with the strength as we're running around all over the place with our strength. So yeah, we've got some of these. If you can't find this one, it's Corrupted Vaults on Deimos. Archon Vitality comes from the Veilbreaker missions, which are open up after the New War, and the Veilbreaker quest, ironically. We want the heat effect, we want the heat damage there, more than anything. We've got Umbral Intensify. You could just go with regular Intensify if you want here. We got Prime Flow for energy. We've got Vigor in here for additional survivability. You could swap this into Redirection as well. Then you get that, which actually probably is better, except against Toxin procs. Prime Continuity, this still does scale with duration for number of charges, and this scales its range based on duration because it's weird. Neutron Star, another important one. Both these augments, if you are unfamiliar, come from syndicates, or you can usually get them from other players pretty cheap or by trading for something relatively minimal. Particles deal heat with guaranteed status effect, and when you recast Null Star, they whip out and all at once, essentially, with a slightly higher range. Previously, you wouldn't see a whole lot of this run because that second part wasn't there. And losing your Null Stars also crippled your damage reduction, and then you couldn't recast it, so you'd be running around with 1/10 of your damage reduction. Also, we got some range. Again, not something you normally see on Nova, but helpful for those Null Stars. We could also even swap out Augur Secrets into there, or Augur Duration, whichever you prefer. I have the range there for a little bit more on the Null Stars, and I believe it adds a tiny bit to the explosion radius down here when you kill an enemy as well. Mostly the reason I don't do the secrets or the strength or the duration augurs is you can get those by Archon shards. You cannot get range in Archon shards. We've got Energize. Obviously, Energize should need no introduction really by this point. You've probably seen it all over the place. If you don't have Energize, you can get kind of the discount earlier option in Arcane Steadfast that comes from Tiana Pass on Mars, which can both drop the Arcane, or you can get shards there, which you give to Otak and Deimos to trade for the Arcane. Arcane Consequence. This is one of those two taste things. Basically, it's more super speed on headshots, and I used an Arcaplasmor, so I'm always getting headshots. You could go for Molt Augmented or Molt Efficiency. Those are probably your meta choices. You could potentially go for Arcane Barrier to recharge your shields. That's a very good one as well. Or anything else in here that you happen to be enjoy to your taste. I'm not going to dictate that too much. You can see over my Archon shards, like I said, I've got Strength and Duration shoved in here. They're not Tau Forged because I'm lazy and don't want to farm Stalta. I threw this in here just for kind of giggles. It gives you a little more health when you kill enemies with blast damage. And I just had an orange one lying around, so I threw it from something else, so I threw it in there. It will eventually give you more than putting in a blue shard for health. But, and you do kill a lot of stuff with her explosion or her null stars doing blast damage. We got an Arca Plasmor here. I haven't specifically rebuilt this. It probably could do with some because it's on some weird build right now. Trying to figure out where the heat's coming from in here. There's the viral. Oh, the heat's the Lich Progenitor. Yeah, it's got the Ron element. I would actually rather have that be electricity. I do have Fractalized Reset. Not a common choice, but if you're familiar with the Arcaplasmor, you know it reloads like a turtle. The trick with this is you can shoot your Arcaplasmor. This will apply with anything that's using Fractalized Reset, by the way. And recasting your Null Stars is a one-handed action. So you can actually do the speed reload from the Fractalized Reset and recast the Null Stars at the same time. So yeah, this is the normal reload. That's casting Null Stars in the reload. You can also kind of hilariously, if you happen to start the reload just because you ran out of ammo without casting first, it does apply midway as well. So basically, you're just replenishing your DR and throwing a bunch of explosion and fire procs at the enemies around you when you stop to reload. The Cyclone, I'm not gonna. It's just a very basic Cyclone. Here's how it look. I'm not gonna explain it because it's got no real interaction with Nova herself at all. Rack to Dark Dagger. This comes from the Red Veil Syndicate. It has this unique trait. We don't really care about the detection range, but if you hit people who are affected by radiation, which the dagger itself does, then you will get damage returned as shields. I've also had healing return on here for a little more of that. This probably actually could be built even better than it is, but it functions for what I'm trying to do with it. Again, it's not the Dark Dagger build, it's the Nova build video. But yeah, you can see if I start chopping at this guy once he gets a rad proc on him, my overshields just start to go way up. Kind of a quick way of healing yourself, and between the fire procs and everything else, like they generally aren't going to be attacking you too much either. So, Arcane Consequence triggered. I got a headshot with the dagger. So yeah, that's your baseline Nova. You'll see some Steel Path gameplay, which was actually with the Ron version of the build. It's only gotten stronger since. I've corrected a couple things that I realized were out of place, which is why you might have seen some portals appear in between randomly in the background here with a cut at one point. As always, if you enjoyed this and want to see some more, leave a like, drop a comment if you got any suggestions or questions, and subscribe, of course. Should have a playlist for all the Warframe builds down in the description below, along with other links to check up on other channels I operate on and support the channel as well. And we will see y'all in the next one. Have a good one. Alright, let's go find some Steel Path hijinks. We'll run it solo, why not? Not that you should ever run the Steel Path solo. Just as an FYI. It's not really how it's designed for, but being able to run the Steel Path solo is usually a good sign that you've probably overcooked your build. Yeah, we'll go do this Mott Steel Path survival. Why not? Grab a vaulted relic.
Accept your death, and you may yet avoid it.
So yeah, if you have your build properly formatted with all the polarities, you might not need to do the immediate wellspring. Let's say if you're running Zenrik, it will give you some initial damage boosts on your Null Stars and Firewalker. Let's open the floodgates.
Life support has been cut off. They're trying to choke you out. Hold on.
Don't threaten me with good time.
Auxiliary life support.
So yeah, here we'll do the trick reload, which also blows up everyone.
Use the synthesis scanner to track the creature.
It's a survival mission. We're basically always going to be using the slowdown.
Don't forget the reactor. You need more to open that
My Arcane Energize would actually proc. It would be quite nice. Seems like every time I do these build videos, I get the god-awful RNG on my Arcane Energize. I'll hit this Void Orb for some energy. There we go.
life support on the way.
You can see both gain a reasonable amount of damage from the Null Stars and also the crowd control from all the fire.
That's it. You've opened the
And hop through here and get a little speed boost. Also disorient the enemy significantly. I might actually throw a yellow shard in here for some casting speed, which, because I record this part before I record the final build, to make sure it works before I record the final build assessment, I've probably already told you. Okay. Really, you hit me. That's high enough in the air that shouldn't happen, but... How is he still alive?
Life support activated.
Trying to find the... Why am I stuck in here?
Life support
Find the forward direction here to head towards the end of the mission, but I'm not having much luck. It's probably this way. They'll catch up, I'm sure. You look faster than the rest. The heat also gives you some built-in armor strip.
support capsule is now available.
See, I hate fighting in these 2-floor rooms because the enemies always get stuck on the floor that you're not on. Okay. You can do that too to block bullets, but don't walk into it, is the pro tip there. This is also not the way forwards. But yeah, if your Arcane Energize is behaving, you should be able to pretty liberally spam out the Null Stars. as an attack move. See, this is what I didn't want, is fighting him in this giant room. Where like 20 other guys can be shooting me at the same time.
Prepare for life support.
Come and get me over here, Mania. I'm not fighting in that room. I don't have to. There you are.
I've delivered another life support capsule.
See some nice damage over time, hitting him from the null star shots. Or her. I don't know the acolyte's genders. Think of me what you will. Guys, this level layout sucks. I can't properly find. Oh, it's hiding up here. Okay.
When you need it, extraction is ready.
But yeah, as you can see, it can handle the steel path easily enough. I probably discussed this already in the build video, but tailor your survivability and attack to taste. So I stripped a lot of the survivability out of this from what I used to have on my Nova.
Your will was
As always,
This is
again, I'm probably repeating myself because of the way these are recorded, but if you do find this informative, enjoy it, remember to like, throw down a comment if you got any questions or anything like that, and suggestions to improve it. We're all about collaboration here. There'll be a playlist down in the description with all the Warframe builds. So we've got this one in Caliban, and Komai should be popping out this week sometime. I have to actually build the frame. She's currently sitting in my foundry over here still. And we will see y'all in the next one. Have a good one.